Community and Wellbeing Officer. Represents students on issues affecting their well-being, such as health, finance, accommodation and security, as well as wider community issues. The Community and Wellbeing Officer is key to ensuring that students from a range of backgrounds and minority groups are represented within the university. They also ensure that students are represented fairly within the local community, liaising with both town and parish council officials.
And good evening. You're listening to URY and you're watching URY online, and I'm joined by Abby Pullen, who is standing to be, as you've just heard, Community and Wellbeing Officer at USU. Abby, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
Thanks very much for coming along tonight. Let's start broadly then. Why do you think the students at York should vote for you to represent their community and well-being?
Well, I'll admit I maybe don't have kind of the experience that some of the other candidates have, but I think what kind of makes me unique is I bring this kind of bubbly energy, very, very passionate about student politics, and I'm very committed. So, yeah.
What do you mean when you say you're committed?
I'd almost say stubborn. Like if I start a task, I'm very, very determined to get it done. And do good things for the students at York.
Looking at your manifesto points then, you say that you want to hold businesses accountable for decisions that negatively impact students to ensure the well-being of everyone in York. Do you want to give an example of businesses, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so there's been quite a few that have been a bit frustrating this year and the last year, but the first ones that come to mind are First Bus, which obviously is a very crucial company for student transport, landlords, estate agents, those kind of businesses who often make, like I say, these decisions that negatively impact students, especially in a pandemic, and often normal students who maybe go to them with feedback or with their problems are ignored or treated very condescendingly. And so hopefully I can get something together to really put student views out there.
There's a few things there. We'll look at COVID specifically in a moment. Arguments between or discussions, let's say, between students and First Bus have been going on for, well, I say as long as I've been at the university. That's not a long time, but I understand they've been going on a little longer than that. So do you think you hold the answer to this then?
Well, I think a lot of the issue is just communication. I know a lot of people say that, but there's very, very limited streams of communication between First Bus and students. I mean, you can contact their social media teams, or they have feedback forms if you want to give feedback about a particular journey you had that was negative, but they're not very accountable to students. And often students who contact them just don't get they either get a disingenuous reply or a reply that's just not very applicable. And I'm hoping that by being in a position at USU as a SAB, I can make more of a difference in opening new communication streams. So hopefully starting off with meetings between me and First Bus and other relevant companies, and eventually expanding out to things like consultation groups between the company and students, specific feedback forms for more general issues that students have with the bus services, etc., etc.
Do you think discussion groups is that they're going to listen to that? They're in this position of having a monopoly, aren't they, on student travel?
I think it's, well, I'd like to think they'd listen. Maybe I'm not the most optimistic about that, but hopefully by getting a big band of support from other students and really kind of coming together, then hopefully we can make some kind of a difference, even if it's just providing new feedback. You know, anything could help.
Fabulous. COVID then, it's having a massive impact on people's lives, as we know, needless to say. We know mental health has been impacted as a part of that, and part of your role would be well-being. That's in the title. What do you think of the current mental health provision available at the university?
I think the issue with mental health provisions at the university is that it's inconsistent. So I know friends who've had fantastic experiences with Open Door and other services the university provide. And then I know other people who've had completely negative experiences. And it's really crucial to get that direct student feedback on what experiences they've had, compare them and see where the issues lie. Funding is an issue, of course, and it's great to see strides being made at the moment. But I think there's more to it than that, which getting feedback from students would be the solution to hopefully solving.
There is an end in sight now for this pandemic. What do you think can help students' mental health get through these next few months, hopefully safely?
Yeah. So I think it's very, very crucial to bear in mind that even though there's an end in sight and there is hope kind of with the pandemic, that people's mental health is going to be affected on the long term, and we need to be able to essentially deal with that demand. Yeah, I think it's important to consider the fact that that's going to be an ongoing issue. And yeah, things like that. I think going into physical activities is going to be a huge benefit to people's mental health, being able to see people in person, but doing that safely, of course, is very important, and being responsive to any changes or developments that may happen with COVID in the future. I mean, it looks great now, but if something bad happens, we need to be able to respond to that quickly.
Just looking at some of your other points then, we're about halfway through the interview now. You talk about launching and continuing fun but useful events to improve well-being. What sorts of events are we talking about here? Parties?
No, more practical events. So I was very, very inspired by Steph Hale, one of the last officers who ran Friday Night Food Fest, which was fantastic. Students got together, they learned how to make new types of food together, they learned new skills, worked with new people, and it kind of brought people together while learning something important. And so events like that, I think, are very, very important, hopefully, once we're able to actually meet in person. So, for example, my Your Decor idea is trying to get people together and have that community aspect, but also work on creating things like desk organizers or photo collages, learning how to bullet journal. So you learn these skills in organization, but also get together with people and hopefully create things that will help improve people's well-being and feel at home at university.
So would you want USU to be running these sorts of sessions, or is it something you'd hope to see independent societies and groups bring in?
A real mixture. Like with Friday Night Food Fest, what happened was it was run largely by Steph and Yusu, but different societies were involved each week in teaching different recipes. So I think it would be really, really great if I could get societies involved in these events and work with them.
You told York Vision that you are the best person for the job because you offer a fresh perspective. What did you mean by that?
So I think, like I say, I don't really have the most experience working at USU because I've had lots of different things to kind of deal with at university. I balanced my degree with a job and with mental health difficulties. So I have that kind of first-hand experience, which I think helps. Yeah, I just think maybe, yeah, I feel like I'm a different candidate. It's hard to word, I think.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that. It's really interesting to hear from you tonight then. Community and well-being is the role. How do you think those two are related?
I think being and feeling like you're part of a community is very, very crucial to someone's well-being. It makes you feel more kind of at home and more secure, which is very, very crucial, but also vice versa. If your well-being is not up to scratch, then it's hard to kind of participate in the community as well as you'd want to. So there's that interlinking relationship.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We've not got long left. In one sentence, what would be the first thing you do if you win the election?
Oh, goodness. I don't know.
Oh, maybe I haven't given you enough time there.
interact with the other officers and try to get some teamwork going.
Thank you so much, Abby, for joining us. We're going to hand over now to Matt Ward-Perkins.